Hello, everybody. In this first EDP session that I'm going to do with y'all, I'm going to recover something that we did during spring convocation at the Jackson County campus. So that you can actually get some EDP credit for it. Myself and Wade Ladner covered a template for Syllabus for using Quality Matters standards. And in a lot of these EDP sessions, y'all are going to hear me talk about Quality Matters. In the introduction video to this course show, I talked a little bit about, Quality Matters is being integrated into the student evaluations of faculty. And so a lot of the things that we're doing now, we're trying to use some of the Quality Matters standards. So in that course, we learned a lot about things that you should have in your course syllabus. And I know y'all probably, you do have a course syllabus that you use. They're probably basically all the same from class to class, but you do have a course syllabus. And like we did in that session at convocation, I'm going to go through a course syllabus of mine, not just the template one, but an actual one that I use to kind of show you some of the things that are incorporated in it. It would be great if you could incorporate them yourself. And then I'm also going to include in this module, I'm going to put my template document so that you can use it. So let's take a look at first let me show y'all in the module for our School of MMT, the instructional designer page. I'm starting these modules at the top. This is the intro video that I'd like for y'all to watch. And then I'm going to create a module for each EDP session that I'm going to do with y'all. So this one says course syllabus. I don't have the information there for you yet, but in here will be the video that you're currently watching. And then you'll also have a document. Now, I'm going to put a couple of my syllabuses or syllabi in there for you. And I ain't got nothing to hide. So you might see the way I change the wording from class to class on some different things. You might get some ideas. And they're going to be Word documents so that you can actually use them. But the template will be there. I'll put a couple of my examples. So let's look at one of mine. So I have a class that's called Plans and Document Interpretation. It's basically a blueprint reading class. But this is how the Quality Matters, the template that we designed ourselves. So, I always change the date to that semester so that I know that, it is the latest and greatest syllabus for that class. So when I go back the next school year or the next time I teach that class, I will use the latest and greatest one, and I know that any changes that I made should be on that last one I used. So the date is there. And then we always should put the course number. This course is CON for construction engineering. The course number, this was a full-term class, and it is high flex. I'll explain how I do high flex here in a minute. I don't know if that's even a possibility for y'all, but it may be for some of y'all. I'm not sure. So anyway, that's besides the point. So course name, Plans and Document Interpretation, and then the school/program. So I'm in the school with y'all, School of Manufacturing, Maritime Transportation, and the program is Construction Engineering Technology. That is my name under instructor, my office location, and y'all, a lot of this information, if they're sitting in your classroom like they are usually doing for y'all when you go over your syllabus. They know a lot of this information. This is so that they can go back and see this information if they need it for any reason. You're just trying to give them as much information as you possibly can, and it's documented so you can say that you gave that information to them. So my office location, this kind of goes along with, this is a HighFlex class, so these students could be taking this online or through WebEx, and they may not have ever set foot in my classroom, but they need to come see me. So this is letting them know where I'm at, not just, oh, I know where the automotive program is, or I know where the HVAC program is. I'm giving them an actual location. And then office hours. I don't post my office hours in my syllabus. I have a separate document that I put in my Canvas shell, which I'm going to do an EDP on just my Canvas shells and how I use them, and you'll get to see that at that point. But I do say right here that instructor office hours will be posted in the general information module. That's where I give them all sorts of information about that class, and then also about the program itself. So it says in the general information module in Canvas, in each course, to show when meeting hours are available. So it'll show my office hours, and then they can schedule something. And then it says the on campus on the schedule shows when I am on campus, which does not mean that I'm sitting in my office waiting on them. So that's kind of like my disclaimer that if you just show up without announcing yourself, I may not be there. I may be in a meeting. I may be recording an EDP session. I may be on a different campus for another meeting. There's many different things that we do, y'all know, in our office hours. And then contact information, always give your office phone number. That's mine. Tell them they can leave a voicemail, and then my email address is there as well. And then as I'm in each class, I tell them that they can use the Canvas inbox as well. I tend to use that with students a lot more than my, straight up the email. So now we start getting into, a little more of the nitty gritty of the class. We show the semester hours, 2 hours lecture, 2 hours lab. That's broken down in your curriculum. And then it's also on the college website too, where you look at the classes. And then any prereqs that are required. This particular class is instructor approved, so that's basically saying there is no prereq, but I don't really just like random people to take this class. So it is instructor approved. So, if I've got students that need it, anyway, use that how you want. And then quality matters. And I mean, we do this in most of our syllabuses anyway, but you need to let them know right up front any material that they need for class. I don't know about y'all's classes, but there's things that they got to get sometimes. Required materials, I go a little overboard here, and I give way too much information probably, but I make sure I cover, like you're in this class, you need this stuff. Sometimes it's not, they just don't think that they have to have something, but they have to have these things. You need a computer if you're in my classes. You can't get through my program if you don't have access to a computer. So it says that a computer, not a cell phone, because if we're taking a test, I don't want you to have a cell phone out. Speakers can be part of the computer if you've got a laptop and there's computers, because I have lecture videos that they have to watch. I may send them out to a YouTube video or a video like you're watching right now. And they got to be able to hear me. So I'm covering my bases. A webcam. I have some of my online classes and some of my HighFlex classes where they have to do a presentation. I let them do it from home, but they still have to video themselves and send it to me. And so they need to be able to do that. A microphone. You know, if you're going to record yourself, that webcam better have a microphone. But I'm covering the bases. I don't want somebody the night before a presentation telling me, oh, you didn't tell me I needed a microphone. Okay. So, next one on the list, reliable internet access. I don't know if y'all have bad experiences with this or not, but I'm always getting students that say, oh, my internet shut down in the middle of the test. Can I retake the test? I'm like, well, I understand that stuff happens, but if it's a constant thing where your internet, I mean, like every test we take, you have a problem. I'm covering myself saying, look, you got to have some internet, or you need to be going somewhere, like come to the college and use our Wi-Fi on campus, or go to a coffee shop, or, I mean, there's McDonald's that have 24-hour Wi-Fi in them. Notebook, pencil, pen. I've got people that don't show up with some of these things, so cover yourself. Put those things in your syllabus, so you got to have it. It gives you something to fall back on. Calculator. We do a lot of adding and subtracting and, calculating square footage and stuff like that. If you can't do it with a pen and pencil, you need a calculator. And I don't let them use their cell phones when we're taking a test. Yeah, if we're just doing something in class, then by all means they can. Architectural scales and engineering scales, those are rulers. For sets of plans, they have to have those, and I go over that a little more detail in the actual class. And then optional materials. Sometimes there's optional things that you may think are, might come in handy to a student, but it's not an actual requirement. But it might be something that you can suggest and say, hey, you might want to get this, like in y'all's case, like a tool that may come in handy, but unless you got the money to get it, I'm not going to say you have to have it, but, y'all's optional list could be several things possibly, depending on what your trade is, but you can add things there, and that lets them know that they can get those things. I even have had a class where I actually put a link there, to like where they could buy it from online, or you can tell them things like, hey, this is in the bookstore. On campus, go get it from the bookstore. Technical skills requirement. So this is kind of going along with what I kind of expect of them, or what they should be able to do in my class. I can't control if they really know how to operate a computer, but you're going to struggle if you can't in my program, and that's kind of what I'm telling them. So, use a learning management system. Canvas is the learning management system used for this course. If you are unfamiliar with Canvas, see the Canvas student guide. I've got a link to it there, or sign up for the student resource course in Canvas, which is something they can do, and they can learn a little bit more about Canvas. And this is kind of taking that off of you. Use the resources we have so that they get what they need without you having to sit down with them and showing them how Canvas works. Now, by all means, go through your Canvas course and show them how you will use it, so that they know how to navigate, but you don't have to teach them everything about Canvas. All right, and then the next one, number 2, use software applications such as word processing, spreadsheets, presentation, and email. I may not do all those in this class, but I do some of that in all of my classes. So, and then perform basic computing tasks such as managing files, creating, saving, locating, renaming, opening different file types, copying and pasting. I expect them to be able to do some of this stuff. If you can't submit a document into a Canvas assignment, you're going to struggle in my classes. And you're just kind of telling them, these are things that you need to know. What you don't want to happen is for a student the night an assignment is due and they're at home and they're having to submit something and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to find that file that he wants me to, or, you know, to submit into this assignment. So it's I don't want to say all these things are covering your butt, but that's kind of where I'm going with a lot of these. You're putting it out there and you're giving them as much information as you can. Perform basic computing tasks such as managing files. Wait, I just did that one. Basic troubleshooting skills. Install, uninstall software, reset passwords, run computer software updates, disable, enable pop-up blockers, clear, you know, browsers, send and download attachments. You got to be able to maneuver and move files around and grab some and send them, you know, in assignments and stuff. Use online communication tools as such as email, discussion forums, and chats. If you do any of this stuff in Canvas, you're letting them know, look, you got to be able to do these things, so you need to learn it, okay? Okay, the next thing is technology requirements. So this is kind of telling them things that they're going to be using or things they need as far as their, you know, computer and any software or whatever, internet, all that. Computer requirements. So you're telling them, you know, an operating system. They got to have at least this in order to, you know, use Canvas and all that. They can't have an ancient laptop. Screen size, you know, this kind of gets a little more technical into my side to where they can view drawings and stuff. So I'm not going to harp on that one. Much of the course materials are best viewed on a standard computing device. You know, they're going to need Microsoft Word. That's something that they use a lot of in my classes. Whenever they type anything to submit, they're always doing it in Microsoft Word so that I know that I can open it and grade it. And accessibility, see what are the Canvas accessibility standards. That's a link they can click on for supported screen readers and browsers. Internet speed, this is telling them that, you know, they gotta have, you know, a minimum of this speed internet or they're gonna have trouble. And then recommended browsers, I always say Chrome, but, you know, I give some other alternatives there. Listening and speaking, speakers or headphones can be used to listen to videos. And then viewing video, the ability to view instructional videos in this course is critical, and I'm kind of going through that in that section there. All right, so the next section that I cover is laptop checkout. This is, I'm not really sure how y'all are handling this over at the West Harrison Center, and I know some of us at the Harrison County campus, we have our own laptops. I don't know who all of the guys kept those in their areas. We had the laptop carts. I think those kind of got mostly moved back over to the library for checkout. I do have I kept my laptops and they use them in the classroom. I don't have desktops or anything anymore, but I kept my laptop cart, but they can check them out in the library for ones that they can take home with them. And this little section covers that. It goes over the procedures of what they need to do to get one. And then technical support. For technical support, log into Canvas, select the help icon in the far left bottom navigation bar, where you will find options including these: search the Canvas guides, conference guides for remote classrooms, MGCCC help desk, tech support, and then ask your instructor a question. These are all technical support. I'm not real familiar with this bottom one here, but I need to learn more about that. Instructors are not expected to provide technical support, but can offer suggestions on resources or contacts. Always contact Canvas support for technical issues. So if a student is telling you, hey, I'm trying to click on this thing in Canvas and it's not working on my end. Well, you know, if no one else in the class is having an issue and you know that they were able to click on it, it's not really like your problem. And I'm not saying, not my job, not my problem, but, if a student messages you and says, hey, I have a problem clicking on this link, I always go and look and see, did I not publish it? Did I lock the file down or something where they couldn't access it? And a lot of times it is something that I did or forgot to do to open it up to them. And you can fix those things. But beyond that, if it's not, if it's out of your control, it's, you tell them to get with the help desk and get that issue resolved. It's not, your burden to carry to fix every little Canvas issue that they might have. All right, and then we get into a little more of the specifics of the class. This is the course content information. So this is where now we're talking about the class. Everything else was just, general information about the class and or the program in general, or being in my classes. So now we're talking about the class for sure. So we've got course description, graphic techniques used in the construction industry. The course includes computation of areas and volumes, interpretation, I'm not going to read that whole thing to y'all. But this course description comes straight from my course curriculum document. You should be able to get this too on the college website where it lists your classes, where it semester 1 and it tells the classes they take, and then semester 2. Well, if you click on one of the classes, the information about the class or description of that class comes up. You can copy and paste it from there if you don't know how to get to your curriculum. Hopefully everybody on this EDP knows how to get to their curriculum, or they have it saved somewhere on their computer. If you don't, I can show y'all how to get to that. It's not real hard to find it. So one of the things that Quality Matters really harps on is give the students the objectives for the class. Don't make it a big secret on what you're going to do in the class. If you're not covering all the things you're supposed to cover out of the state curriculum, well, you might want to kind of ante up and, make your class a little better. But the outcomes they're important. They're letting the student know what you're going to do. Okay. So these are, here again, this is straight out of your curriculum document. So these are the things you're letting the student know, okay, upon successful completion of this course, you're going to be able to do these things. Interpret construction prints. And this is what I mean by that. Read and interpret typical construction blueprints and symbols, layout, organization plans, identify terms related to construction prints. You're going to recognize construction plans as documents, as contract documents. They are legally binding documents. Using a site plan, determine the amount of dirt and fill to move, explain technical specifications, identifying quantities from plans and obtain volumes and areas of concrete and coatings and so forth and finishes and all that. Interpret specifications, identify the basic specifications of a contract document, explain the specifications as they relate to money. And so I've given them, the overall learning outcomes or the objectives of the class. And then you always want to break down how your grading works. So assignments and tests for this class are 90% of your semester average. All of my classes, these two numbers here change from class to class. Assignments and tests are 90%, but your final exam is 10% of your overall grade. I've got some classes where it's like 25% of your your total average is from your final exam. So I can change this. Nobody, tells you what that has to be. Now, if you have a counterpart on another campus, you should kind of be in sync with what they do. But and then I always show a grading scale. I use in my program, it's 93 to 100 is an A. And then, so the next thing we talk about lecture. So I talk about how my lectures are going to work. I explain to them. Now, this is a HighFlex course, which I'm going to explain what HighFlex is in a minute, or at least to me. But I tell them all lectures will be traditionally done in the classroom and recorded through WebEx. Lecture videos will then be uploaded to Canvas under the weekly modules. Please print if you have access to a printer. So if I've got lecture videos that have like documents in them or something like that, or if you need to print something, print it, and review handouts that are located under the week's module. So if there's things in there, tell them to, print those things. They may not be there. I don't know if students do this much anymore, but I still have the notes that I took when I was in college from the classes that I took. We do a lot of things on Canvas now, and their notes might be in Canvas. At the end of the semester, sometimes that class closes, and they didn't keep any of the notes. They were just in Canvas. They didn't save them anywhere, and they can't look back on any of that stuff. So remind them to do that. So all the information from the handouts and videos is knowledge that will be needed to complete the weekly assignments. And then the lab portion of my class, the time spent completing the assignments is considered to be lab time, whether it is completed in the classroom or online. All the information from the handouts and videos is knowledge that will be needed to complete the weekly assignments. The instructor can assist online students through WebEx on assignments. There may be a mandatory in-class lab that may be required. Some of my classes do have that. And then the scheduled lab time will be announced by the instructor, which would be me. So that brings us to course policies. So this is where I explain what HighFlex is to them. Now, the college has gone through a new little initiative here in the last few weeks, and they have identified, like now when a student looks at the schedule before they register, they'll be able to see what a class is and understand that if it's a HighFlex class or a face-to-face class or an online class, it will explain to them what that is. They were using some of the terminology of choice instead of HighFlex. So, all right, so these are the three ways that I do a class. And because this works for me, this possibly does not work for any of y'all's programs, but if you can take away some of this and use it, that'd be awesome. So all right, so let me back up a minute. I've got basically like two ways of doing a class now. I have some that are strictly online. They are never face-to-face. It is always an online class. They never come to the classroom for it. They do it completely online through Canvas, and I, manage and facilitate the whole class online. They do not have to do anything live or at a particular time other than turn things in by a certain due date. But there is no, this class is at 9 o'clock in the morning and you need to be online. So online is online. You do it, you do the work through the week and you turn it in by the deadline and you're good to go. Okay. And then I also have what's called HighFlex classes. So the HighFlex classes can be done in one of these three ways. So if it is HighFlex, you can still come face to face. There is a scheduled time for that class. Like my class today was 9 to 12. You can come face-to-face, sit in the classroom. I will lecture just like a traditional class, okay? So that is what face-to-face is. And then there's online synchronous. This means that you are logging into WebEx and you are watching the class live. So we're using the WebEx equipment at that point, and the different cameras that are used to video me in class, and then I can also share the content from my screen like I'm doing right now with y'all. I'm using studio equipment, Canvas Studio right now, but I'm able to use Canvas and then share my content, and if I'm working on the computer, they get to see my notes and all that stuff. So there's that online synchronous part and they can interact with you as well. So I have students that, just like in class, when you say, all right, does anybody have any questions? Well, sometimes somebody will pipe in through WebEx and I can see them and they're like, hey, Mr. Donegan, I didn't quite hear you well. Could you say that again? Or can you go over that one topic again? And they get to interact with you. So it's live, but they're watching it online from wherever they're at, and but they get to interact with you. Unlike the online asynchronous learners. So I told you that, I use the WebEx equipment. Well, when I start class, the first thing I do is tell WebEx to start recording. So it records my class. So what the synchronous learner is seeing on WebEx, that is being recorded. So the online asynchronous student gets to watch a recorded version of what the synchronous student got to see. So at the end of the day, before I leave every day for that particular day, I will upload that video to Canvas for that module for the week. And I just I give it a date and I say class recording. Well, the online students can, at any point during the week, because let's say my high flex class actually meets on Monday, okay? Well, I won't have the assignment due until Sunday night, okay? Well, my synchronous learners are able, the face-to-face are able to get it done, and then they submit it to Canvas. The synchronous learners do the same thing. They still have time to work on it and then submit it by Sunday night. But the online students, at some time during the week when they decide to do this class, they have to log on. They got to watch the recorded version of the class. And I don't check. I'm hoping they do to get the lecture material so they can do the work. But they then, after they watch the video, well, it's like they sat in class. The only thing they're not getting is, well, obviously they're not face-to-face, but they're getting almost what the synchronous learner got, but they're just not able to interact live. So they can still message me on Canvas and ask me questions, and I'll get back to them within 24 hours or so. But they got to see class. They got to hear me give the lecture just like the other students. And then they also get to hear the interaction with the other students. Like if a student had a question about something, chances are somebody else in the class might have had that same question, and one of the online students might have, had a question like that as well. So they get to do the work and still turn it in before the deadline, just like all the other students do. So, and my students can choose from day to day how they want to do that. So I don't tell them, okay, since you showed up the first couple of classes, well, now you're a face-to-face student. Or if they show up on WebEx the first couple of classes, I'm like, all right, you can't come face-to-face. You are now a WebEx student, and I don't tell my students, all right, you're online, so I won't ever see you. They can get up that morning and say, you know what, I got a couple things I need to handle today. I can't go to class. I'm just going to do this week's work completely online. Or they may have something keeping them at home. I had a student today that their young kid not feeling well. So they watched through WebEx. They normally come face to face, but today they just did it through WebEx. So this gives them a choice. Now, it does make it to where the classes, I mean, you really got to have well planned out, daily what you're doing that week. My classes only meet one time out of the week. Y'all's probably meet every day, but it really has to be, you really got to work hard and get a class really nailed down to exactly what you're doing and have a lot of the material on Canvas to where it can be completely online. But it is pretty cool once you get there. But students can choose, and it gives them the flexibility to do it the way they want to do it. Interesting story. I had a student last semester that had a young child at home, and she had a caregiver that would come, a family member that would come to her house, but she couldn't get there early enough for her to leave and be in my classroom for when class started. So she came to me and she said, I have an idea. She said, my caregiver gets here just a few minutes before 9 o'clock. She said, I'm going to log on to WebEx from my phone, and as soon as my caregiver gets here, I will get in my car and I'm driving to campus and I'm going to listen to your lecture, and then I will probably get there about 10 minutes late to class every week. And she asked if that was a problem, and I said, I have no problem with that whatsoever. If you come in quietly and, don't make a big disruption. And, I was like, wow, she really overcame an obstacle. And if I wasn't doing high flex, she wouldn't have been able to take that class. But she was able to do that and attend class, and she made it to where I barely even noticed it. She would come in the door very quietly, and then she would, she'd silence her phone right before she walked in. She'd walk in and she'd sit in the back of the classroom, and then she was there, and she only missed, like maybe 10 minutes of class. And a lot of times I don't start until 5 minutes after anyway, because people are kind of getting ready and getting settled. So she really didn't miss much at all. But I was like, that really says a lot about that student. And if I wasn't given that high flex, and she would have been late to class, and I would have had a problem with it at some point. But she kind of overcame that and kind of moved on. So I'm off my soapbox now. Textbook policy. This goes over, is it a rental? Is it a purchase? All students are required to have the textbook. If a textbook is used, this class actually doesn't have a textbook. Students are expected to read chapters covered and use the information for class discussions, assignments, and to prepare for tests. This is just letting them know. You got a book, you might need to be reading it. So, I don't know if y'all have ever had one of them students halfway through the semester, you're like, well, did you read the chapter? They're like, I have a question. And you're like, did you read the chapter? And they're like, I don't have the book. I'm always blown away. I'm like, why don't you have the book? I told you there was a book. So there you are. Grading policy. Assignments are due as per the course calendar. Once I go over my course shell in another video, I'm going to talk about my course calendar. Students should monitor grades on a weekly basis. So this is just giving them some information about your grades, and, how you can keep track of your grades, because that's their responsibility to keep their average. Assignment/test policy. This is putting, some of the college policies in here, but you're kind of putting your pet peeves and things in there, and things that you need them to do and understand. All assignments will be submitted via Canvas to the appropriate assignment Dropbox or discussion board. This is basically my note right here saying that if you miss the deadline, do not email it to me, because I'm not going to open it. It was due in Canvas at a specific time. Students may have to submit a PDF file when completing assignments. Students can download the free app Cam Scanner to your smartphone. This app has the ability to take a picture of a document and convert it to a PDF. You can take a picture of anything and create it, turn it into a PDF. It's a really neat app. I use it and I make my students get it for every class. And then the PDF can be emailed or uploaded or whatever I'm having them do. No assignments will be accepted through email, text, or attached as a comment in Canvas or Canvas inbox. There will be no makeup on dated tests or assignments. That's my note right there. I'm teaching project management. If you can't get something in, if I assign it on a Monday and it's due that Sunday, 7 days later, and you didn't get it in, well, you missed it. You had 7 days. You had almost an entire, it's like, 6 hours short of a full week to get something done. Assignments that are submitted to the wrong assignment area will receive a 0. I have students that do this from time to time. They put the wrong set of review questions in the wrong assignment. You can't do stuff like that in the real world. There are consequences. So that's my note. Check to be sure it is in the correct place and that it is visible and readable. All assignments not turned in on their assigned date and time will receive a deduction of 2 points per day. Sometimes I follow this, sometimes I don't, but I do have that in this class. Students should only take tests on a computer, laptop, or tablet and ensure that a reliable internet connection is used. Avoid taking tests during inclement weather, and then, do not do it on your phone. I've had students try to take tests on phones and it locks up, or they get a phone call in the middle and it messes them up. Ample time is given for each test and assignment. It is the student's responsibility to plan ahead and complete tests and assignments on time. Once an assignment closes, it will not be reopened. Bonus points are not given in the program of any kind. I don't give extra work. If you weren't able to get the real work done, why should I reward you with being able to turn in other things at your leisure? So, computer issues or no access is not an acceptable excuse for not turning in assignments on time. The use of a cellular device is not an acceptable tool for taking quizzes or exams in an online course. It is the student's responsibility to ensure assignments are correctly uploaded and posted to the appropriate area/assignment Dropbox. Attendance policy. Attendance is crucial to your success in the class and will be monitored by your instructor on a consistent basis. Regular course access and course participation is essential. There may be a mandatory in-class lab that may be required. This is for those online students and the ones that are attending WebEx. I might actually have a class that's scheduled that says you have to be in class for that particular class. And if the class wasn't listed as an online, a true online class, I can do that. I can require that you are actually there. Attendance will be recorded the same for all HighFlex options. Your attendance will be measured based on submission of homework, assignments, tests, or other course activities each week. So basically, I have something due that they got to turn in every week. And if they don't turn it in, they got counted absent. Even if they were sitting right there in front of me in the classroom, or I know that I saw them on WebEx, because, there are online students, and the way we do it in online classes is if you didn't turn it in or you didn't do the work, you got counted absent that week. So I do it that way across the board now. When a student fails to complete or turn in late or more required activities in a week, the student will earn an absence. Students who accumulate more than 3 absences will be dropped for lack of participation. Absences are cumulative throughout the semester. Communication protocol. The instructor will respond to student emails or Canvas inbox messages within 24 to 48 hours. If there is an extenuating circumstance that will prevent responding within this time frame, students will be notified through Canvas announcements prior to the time of unavailability or as soon as possible when the situation arises. It is extremely important that students read announcements for the course each week. I use announcements a lot, y'all. It's kind of how I keep in touch and give updates of what's going on. Any student who has additional questions or needs help in any way should Canvas inbox or email me. Questions should not be submitted to the comments section of an assignment. Sometimes I don't see that stuff. I don't ever want them to do that. Students should not communicate via text language at any time in this course. This is a pandemic all of its own. We have learned how to professionally communicate, and I don't like it when I get an email that makes no sense and it sounds like they texted it to me, with abbreviated words, and I have no idea what they said. So, and this is not a generational thing; it's a cultural thing. It's not an age thing. So, anyway, use proper spelling, grammar, punctuation. Do not write in all capital letters. That's a suggestion. Reread the email. Make sure it makes sense before you send it. Sometimes I'll get an email from a student. I'm like, I'll read it again. I'm like, I didn't even get a question in there. Where is the question? Was it a comment? Was it a question? What are you actually asking me? I'll get a student that will email me sometimes and they'll say, what did I miss this week? I'm like, which class are you even talking about? You've got 5 of my classes. Did you miss all 5 of them? I don't know. I don't keep that good a memory of who was here and when. But anyway, that's just some little pet peeves in there. WebEx protocol. Please keep in mind the WebEx classroom will be held to same standards as face-to-face classes. So if you're sitting there in your pajamas, I'm going to tell you, hey, you wouldn't be sitting in my classroom like that. So you can read that little chapter there, that little paragraph there. But if you're visible on the screen, and I don't require them to be visible on the screen, because the way I look at that is they could have chose to not be on WebEx at all and to have done the class online. So, if they aren't put together well that day, and you don't want to turn your camera on, that's fine with me. It's not going to bother me for reasons of what I just said. But if you are sitting there with your camera on, I don't want to see you, like you just woke up, and you're sitting there in your pajamas, or and there's a lot of stuff going on behind you in the background, and it can be distracting to those that are actually on WebEx or sitting in the classroom, because they can see that on the screen and all. So no alcohol or tobacco of any kind should be present on the screen, so don't sit there with a beer or a mixed drink or a margarita. Be sitting at a desk or table, not laying on a bed. I've had that happen. I've had to tell people, look, that's not really appropriate. You wouldn't do that in a work meeting. So proper school attire should always be worn. I don't police that much, but I do need for you to be dressed. Find a private place to attend class meetings. Keep yourself muted unless you need to speak. While taking tests, turn on video so instructor can see your face. If you're proctoring it, log on to WebEx at least 5 minutes before scheduled class time. It's disrupting when they log on, like 10 minutes into class and they log on, and it beeps, or they come on and they're still moving around on the screen, and it's distracting. So Course honesty policy. This is cheating. This is academic integrity. Students are expected to complete their own work. Acts of academic dishonesty include, but not limited to, cheating on any test, plagiarism, submitting copied work, all those good things. Students will receive a grade of 0 on a given assignment for any first-time act of academic dishonesty. You can read through this. The college is actually going through I don't know what you'd call it. Some policies are being written right now for academic integrity. That should be coming. You should be hearing more about that on my campus. Susan Bosard is kind of leading those efforts. It's not a big problem in my classes, but so college requirements and notices, college testing requirements. I don't have any specific testing that goes on in this class. College CDC requirements. This was kind of big, during COVID stuff. But here's our link, if they want to read anything that's going on right now. Notice of non-discrimination. I have the link there. I don't have the actual document there, but I have the link there so they can read it if they want. Notice of copyright. Now, I'm not going to read all this out to you, but I do want you to know that your material is your material. Now, a lot of your material is, considered the college's material as well, since you're teaching it. But this is kind of saying, hey, this is my material. You can't take this and use it and profit from this, or use my notes to on the outside world and benefit in any way. This is my stuff. Now, there's also in the middle of this paragraph right here, you see that word Course Hero. This is something y'all might want to become aware of. Course Hero is a website that students can have access to, and they can pay to get course materials if a student has uploaded it. So a student can upload your assignments, and other students can pay to get them. I recently discovered that I have a student that has been uploading documents, like my assignments, uploading the assignments, and other students can access that, and it's copying, it's cheating is what it's doing. So if you want to look at that, take a look at, Google that, Course Hero. Tell you what, better yet, go to Google search, type in your name, your first and last name, and then say MGCCC, and then type in Course Hero, all one word. Just do a Google search. You'll see real quick if you got students uploading your material. So that is my syllabus. Hopefully there are some things in there that you can use. And you can go in and you can revise this as needed. There's things in here that you may not need, but hopefully, there's some stuff in there that you might like. I will be putting the actual file in there for you to use, so you can actually use this and and edit for yours, but you don't have to. It's just this is what we're doing in these EDPs. I'm just trying to give y'all ammunition for things to make classes better if you so choose to use them. So I hope this was helpful. I'll see y'all in the next video.